build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Oh, well, they gave me ball, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. This is episode 141. I'm Matty, joined tonight by Colin and Josh. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How's yourself?
Good. Just obviously you've been on the podcast for a wee while. We thought we'd bring you on, given that you're now a head coach of a football team and you're well in with tactics and stuff. So you're going to give us some professional tactical analysis on things, are you?
It's the natural follow-up to the Maloney interview, obviously. So
I thought he was a goalkeeping coach.
I'm not asking now.
Does that as well?
I was going to say goalkeeping coaches only be able to help with tactics.
I'm a man of two talents.
Why did they all kick it out the park, Josh? That's what I want to Kev. What are you coaching them?
Right, see the opposition manager.
Aim for him. Colin, how are you doing?
Good. I'm good, aye.
Good.
That's me.
We're off to a good start. So tonight we are covering off Scottish Cup quarter-final. Hibs progressing to the semi by beating Motherwell 2-1 through at Fir Park, backed by a huge and boisterous Hibs support, which was good to see. Colin, I'll come to you first. What were your overall thoughts on the game?
Game of two halves, really. Was it? I mean, we were really good in the first half, I thought.
Definitely was a game of two halves.
It always is.
45 minutes either way.
Yeah, but I thought we were good in the first half and just okay in the second half. It was almost like we sat off them and thought, well, you need to break us down rather than us going pushing for more goals and maybe leaving ourselves open. Even though it was against 10 men, I think they just thought we'll just not let any goals in then, because the goal they did score was a bit. He probably meant it, but it was a bit fluky, really. Yeah, to put one in off your chest like that, I think it was a bit lucky. So I think we've let a goal in, but it was a kind of fortunate one. But I thought first half we looked good. We were creating good chances. Two cracking goals. Dre Wright had a good save. The keeper had a good save for Dre Wright. And Melkerson should have probably scored again, actually. Should have probably scored his hat-trick. I know the boy was kind of pulling him a bit in that, but he should probably got it as well. So actually created chances. No, looked at the XG, because it's not really what I do, but it looked like we had a lot more opportunities than we probably had in the last three matches combined, and just in that first half.
XG, funny you mention it. So again, anybody who's a regular listener to the podcast will come. Although we were joking about having Josh on for the tactics and that's not really our thing. And XG and stats and stuff like that aren't really our thing either. But the BBC had put up a wee like a table of XG for the Premier League teams, and Hibs were ahead of Ross County, which I couldn't fucking believe, given.
Oh really? Even though the way they're set up and all that stuff.
The system. They did score more than us, obviously, but the XG, which was what they were talking about, has been the indicator of how well you're playing. Hibs were outperforming them, which I, for one, was fucking astonished by, based on the analysis that had gone before. Josh, what did you think of the game?
I thought first half, I think obviously the red card helps. I think we were very much buoyed by it, and the fact I thought Dre Wright had his chance quite early on afterwards, and Motherwell probably should have been down to 9. But I was on Melkerson, I thought was brilliant. First half, him and Jasper in particular, lots of chances. Melkerson stayed a bit higher than the likes of Doidge and Nisbet, who quite commonly drop in. Just gave us a bit more depth and a bit more space, I think, for people to operate in. Second half, I think, considering Motherwell's goal was how it is, like it's a shot that's going out for a throw. The boy does really, really well to adjust. I thought we did fine. Thought we did fine. But I think we were probably a bit like, right, if we go push forward second half and then something like that happens again, then it's 2-2. So I think we were just happy to protect what we had, because I think we were pretty comfortable with doing so. I mean, Motherwell had a couple of chances afterwards. They had the one with the boy was out at the angle and he released it just past the top corner. But I didn't think we were really troubled. Never really felt like we were going to lose it. So I thought I played fine. So it's a good win. Not the Aberdeen manager, but it's a good win to get into the semis. And I mean, the draw will be made on here, won't it?
Yeah,
Not
we
on
did,
here,
sure.
obviously, but
We're not making it now, but it'll be while we're recording.
Rod
You're doing
Stewart
the
just off camera.
We're doing draw for the final this year, I think.
Aye, we've got it. They've trusted us to get that one right. With just the two boys to pick. So you mentioned the red card, Josh. So it was not Robert Mugabe, but presumably his son. A close relation.
Some kind of relation, viciousness.
Close relation. But Mugabe gets sent off for a bad challenge on Doig. There was a wee bit of debate, even like in the WhatsApp groups that we're in about immediately whether or not it was a red card. But I think when you watch it back, it becomes more obvious that the red was the right decision.
It's a red card.
Would you go along with that, Colin? You think it's a red, or do you think Mugabe was hard done by?
No, I'll go along with it. I was in I'm in that WhatsApp group and I was driving. I was coming down the road for my daughter's match. So I missed the first 5 minutes of the game, which is where it all happened. But I've seen it since. The radio were saying it's a red card at the time. So I got in. I didn't realise when I was reading the group, I was like, oh, somebody never thought it was a red card, because then I seen it back and I seen Kenny Miller debating whether it should be fucking orange card.
Orange card.
But I clearly a red card, no doubt. I mean, like, he actually caught Doig. You know what I mean? We moaned that Poches's wasn't a red card because he never caught the guy, because it was similar, but he never caught the guy. Whereas he actually caught Doig and missed the ball. So I think if Poches is a red card, then that's 100% a red card. And nobody, and to be fair to the pundits, apart from that, Kenny Miller backtracked for that as well when he saw it back, because he doesn't like Willie Collum. That's basically where he was going. He's like, Willie Collum will get wrong. He likes being the centre of attention. That's where Kenny Miller's bias was coming in rather than anti-Hibs, I think. Not one pundit. I've not seen one pundit say that wasn't a red card yet. Not one.
Well, I think the main talking point obviously has to be how big a ban is Porteous going to get for his reaction to the incident. I mean, he goes over and he speaks to the referee.
It was mad, actually, because
out of order. Like, I'd be surprised if he's available for.
It's a bit of fun. I mean, I'm not slagging him off here, because it was a bit of a funny reaction for him. But I was listening to the radio driving through to the women's game yesterday, and Richard Gordon actually picked that up to say Ryan Porteous out for that celebration, if you like, the way he celebrated and walked over his own player and all that, which he did do. But what's it got to do with Richard Gordon? Like, you're a fucking facilitator, Richard, if you're listening. Like, you just facilitate watch Matthew, watch what he does. Just facilitates a conversation. Let the experts talk, just like what he does.
What do you say, Josh?
I don't get the whole, like, why is he going to try and get the opposition man sent off instead of looking over his own player? I'm like, Porteous isn't the fucking medical team. There's people that are on the pitch to go and look after. Like, Porteous should rightfully be saying, right, after disgrace, come on, get him off. So red card, and I think when you've got a pundit talking about, can we give him an orange card? It's like, right, no, they don't exist. If you think it's more than a yellow card, it's a red card. That's kind of how it works. So I thought a straight red card, definitely the correct decision.
The only debate comes from the fact it was in the first minute, or even the first 10 minutes. Right, that's the only debate, because we spoke about it in here before, because I'm an advocate of the rule, get it fucking in first 10 minutes, because you'll get away with it. And they never. And it fucked his whole tactical setup, because his whole tactical setup was kick their cunts in early doors and see if they fancy it.
Aye, that works more for, like, you get an early bookable challenge you get away from. Like, Stokes on Holt in the cup final was the obvious one. Like, one way you'd get a booking for it if it's later on in the game, but you get away with it. It doesn't work when it's a straight red card, because then that's.
No, I've seen it with a straight red card. Ian Black in the 2012 Cup final got away with one on.
Extenuating circumstances and that one.
Aye. But still happens.
No, you can get away with it. It gets most big games have somebody going through some of the early doors.
I think,
and that sets the tone and all that stuff. That's exactly what they were trying to do there. He obviously wound them up that much. He came out, done it, and thought they would get away with it. He's mistimed it. I'm not sure I'm sure he was just trying to put a hard tackle in and win the ball, but he
Aye.
mistimed it, and that the danger, the risk you run is that.
If you don't want to be sent off, don't commit a red card offence. Don't take the risk. Just
You're a qualified ref as well, Josh.
Yeah, exactly. Literally everything.
Right.
I thought it was I would say the first replay I watched back, I was like, fuck. If I try to put myself in the shoes of if that was a Hibs player, would I be accepting that was a fair red card? And at first I was like, well, that was my first reaction. But then I watched the second time I watched it, I was like, well, it's hard to argue it because he studs it up. He's going in at pace. It's probably the speed at which he goes in more than anything. And you can't argue that he's not been reckless because he's fucked Josh Doig. You know, then Doig had to go off. And
reckless
I can't.
In the terms of the laws, only a yellow, though. I think it's something higher level than reckless.
So it's in danger or a dangerous play or something, which it was. And you couldn't argue that it's not. Again, players can get injured in an innocuous, an innocent challenge. So it happens in football. But Doig went off as a direct result of that challenge. He has endangered an opponent to the point where he had to leave the field. So, and I have no problem with Porteous's reaction to it at all, by the way, because we've had, last week, a clear red card offence no given against us. Against Dundee, there was red card offences no given against us. So,
the referees apparently apologised for as well, haven't they?
Aye.
To the club.
Yeah.
So we heard.
But yeah, you had the Jake Doyle-Hayes one against the Johnson as well for a similar sort of tackle. It's a red card that's not been given. But I think, somebody gave it a red card myself. And I think if I'd been a Hibs player, you'd have been annoyed at first. But I think you see it back, you would have went, right, you could understand why he's went. Like, you'd be annoyed because you'd say it the first minute, but it's not like you can defend the tackle. It's the only reason he wouldn't get sent off is because of what part of the game it happens in.
And then there was the second challenge just after that as well. Was it Roberts? Is that the player?
Roberts.
What did you think about that one, Josh? Come to you first. What did you think about that one? Do you think that should have been another red, or was a yellow right?
I think it very easily could have been. I think Colm didn't want to send off 2 people in 10 minutes. But I think maybe if he doesn't, like if the Mugabe tackle doesn't happen and that Roberts tackle happens, I think he gets a red card for it. I think because he'd already sent a man off 5, 6, 7 minutes earlier, he was like, "No, I don't want to like ruin the game as such." But I think very easily could have been a red card. I think Roberts is very lucky to escape without one.
Were you called?
It's a red card, definitely, and that is the reason he never got it, because he's already sent one off, and he's thinking, the pundits are all going to be saying I'm ruining the game and all that shit. That he's worried about the press he'll get from it, because that's definitely the first one's a red card. That's a red card. It's got to be. It's not much different. That Roberts has got the last time he played through there as well. He was the one that was kicking Rocky up and in the park as well, wasn't it?
Aye, fair enough.
So it's like he's actually coming into these games playing like that. That's what he does. Interesting. That Van Veen, the European Player of the Year. I mean, he was after the first game of the season. He has got more bookings than goals this season.
Aye,
12 bookings v 9 goals.
Did Motherwell get a boy sent off last time you played them?
They did in the cup, I'm sure. Did they know when it was at Easter Road, we went through the penalties?
No, for Park.
The 0-0 game.
The 0-0, did they? I seem to remember there was a bit of annoyance about us having a 0-0 after them going down to 10.
I can't remember.
I think Alexander seemed to hint at that as well.
Go to
I'm sure Alexander mentioned something about like last time, but I don't know if we're doing a bit on him, but his tears after it, fucking hell. Like I heard that I was in the car driving through to Livingston, and I'm going, oh, here he comes, and I predicted, I said, oh, let's listen to this, because you just know he's a fucking moan, but I thought he can't know it. Everybody knows that's a red card, and as much as like I've said in the past, I wish your manager would back us in the press when we get dodgy decisions. I wouldn't want my manager backing us like blindly like that. Just be honest. Right, Josh, you got an answer for us?
Red card, Liam Donnelly, 73rd minute, got sent off last time.
I can't remember that. But he's a fucking. I mean, it's embarrassing. He's sort of tirade that he's going on about. Like I didn't think it was that bad. I just want to talk about fucking Melkerson's elbow and Macy. Like, sticking his
Yeah,
elbow in the boy's gut. So it's
better.
like, come on, man. Everybody was like fucking
Yeah,
laughing. Joe Newell's taking the piss at the boy. Columns like that, come on. Like you could lip read him going, come on. Like to the boys that were coming over
Aye.
to him, it's like they were just playing for a red card after they got a man sent off. How they don't think that's a red card, it's incredible. That there's a debate on it. BBC Sports Scotland have had things on their Twitter and that. Is this a red card? Inviting comments. Why? Every cunt kens it's a red card. It's a red card.
Ah.
Yeah, like who's even got to dispute it apart from Graham Alexander? Nobody.
But
The
Nicky
question should be
Alexander's
how
comment.
fucking dangerous was this, rather than should this be a red card?
What were your thoughts on them, Josh?
I haven't actually bothered listening to them. I think
Right.
I heard the reaction up and I saw.
Tino Kenny's coming on. No.
I saw multiple. I think the quote was "fucking lol" reactions. To it.
That's
So
because
I
you had a
just,
couple of
you know
things
what?
on.
Yeah, I just no worth being used to. No worth listening to.
What was mental is they asked him about the red card, and rather than saying his player was out of order, he says, "Oh, the Hibs players were manhandling the referee."
Yes.
And then
Just
they
body
said,
slamming Willie Collins.
then they says, "What about the second one with Roberts?" And he says, "I didn't remember that, but I remember Melkerson going on with an elbow, Macy, their goalkeeper, elbow, and Lammy, and the players surrounding the referee." I'm going, "Fucking hell! See if you watch the incident with Melkerson." I don't know if you'd be surprised to hear this, but the Motherwell players start shouting at the referee.
Yeah.
It's like Gray did it as well.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah. You know what though? On that, the players did go mad, and they did go mad during the week. Last weekend as well against St Johnstone when the boy got away with it. And I think it's a good thing, right? Because it shows a bit of team spirit, it shows a bit of fight in them, and it shows they're backing their mate. Because the worst example I've seen of that not happening, not at Hibs, was I think it was Stephen Presley when he played for Scotland when John Kennedy got the boy done his knee against Romania, and Presley just looked over and went, "Oh well, I'll get a game next time then." Because fucking Kennedy's knee's fucked and that's him retired. And I thought, fuck's sake, he's in your team. You've not even fucking went over and gave the boy a push. So I'm glad they're doing it because it shows a bit of fight and team spirit.
Well, Stevenson was right at my garbage. Oh, it's like it's no a fair matchup, is it? Can you see the height difference and everything? But Stevenson's straight over there to
and you know
demonstrate.
See all that chat about us being too soft and too boy band and that? Well, we're fucking no. And there's an example of it, right? But they didn't like it when we're no. They want us to fucking lie down to them and not put up a fight. Well, of course they do. But we're fucking never. So fuck you.
Fuck you. And so might as well talk about Melkerson. We'll talk about the elbow. First of all, we'll cover that off straight away with Josh. Yellow card, red card. What did you think?
Yellow. Does his elbow make contact with the boy?
Well, his arm does definitely, but I don't know if he's no swung an elbow.
I can't. It's not something I've watched, but I've mindset at the time. Was it right? He goes up with it, but I don't think he really makes much contact with the boy more than anything else. I think it's risky, but I'd give yellow cards probably first.
Colin?
I think nothing more.
It's probably a yellow card at most. At most, even if it's you might even get away with that sometimes. The only reason whenever is the Motherwell player's reaction because we're trying to get somebody sent off to even it up. He jumped, but you've got to move your arms to jump, as Andy Gray used to show us on Monday Night Football and that. You've got to move your arms. He's not lashed out at the boy. He's just jumped and jumped higher than the guy, and his arm was in line with his face. It's not deliberate. Hardly even touched them, to be quite honest. So.
Red card for Porteous.
Okay. I thought Sportsfeed actually covered it quite well when they were talking about it because they slowed it down and you see he's just watching the ball the whole way. Yep. With he's jumped, he's not going out to hurt the guy or anything like that. So I thought it's a booking because again you catch a boy in the face with your arm and you jump her up, then you need to be more careful. But
sometimes
he wasn't violent with it or anything like that. So and you do sometimes. Depends who you play for it.
He's also a shagger, so I'd let him off with it.
Well, there is that too. And on those type of exploits, then two times he scored. Josh, look at his first goal. Cross in for Jasper, header from Melkerson. Colin, actually, do you want to talk us through that? Talk us through the first goal and what your thoughts were on it.
It was just a cracking ball in for Jasper. Nice bit of play. Got Patrick put it with the boy's legs, went past him to the byline, smashed it into the near post, and somebody was there this time. Just what we've been saying, the amount of balls Cadden's put in that position this season, and nobody's been there. Fair enough. Jasper's looked up and seen him there, or running that way. But it was just a cracking striker's sort of header, and brilliant bit of play for Jasper as well. It was just good to see a cross going in and actually being connected with.
What are you, Josh? What do you think?
Is that little bit of movement and about the box I think we've been missing. Like Nisbet and Doidge are quite bad for crosses coming in and just not anticipating it. Like Nisbet particularly, the bit of balls you see that he just kind of stands still and hope it comes to his feet. But I think that bit of going, he's in the defender's blind side, moves at the perfect moment, just on side, beats him to it. It's great. It's a brilliant ball in by Jasper. A wee bit forced it with the break of the ball, but you don't get that if you're not direct. Like if he doesn't try and take the ball on, he doesn't get that. So yeah, it's great to have somebody score a goal, let alone it being a striker. So those are positives to take from that great goal.
I'm loath to give Craig Levine credit, but he was talking. I listened. Well, I was talking in the sport. Listening to the Sports Sound podcast this morning, and he had mentioned about his movement, Melkerson's movement for that goal, saying it was like, or talking up how good it was coming in. Basically, he likened up Alan McCoy. Said he's on like the shoulder of the defender.
Yeah.
So the defender can't see where he is, and then at the last minute makes that dart across to the front of him to Nick in front to get the touch on it.
Levine's comments were quite funny because he was raving about Melkerson and he was saying how horrendous the tackle was and hoping Josh Doig was okay because he's a nice guy and Lynch lad trying to make his name and all that. And then I seen that quote that was on, Mike said Motherwell had all the best players. I thought, that seems completely out of context because that isn't what he was saying post-match. I was in the kitchen before we went away. I was in the kitchen making something for dinner and I heard that and I said to the wife, I says, Levine's been really fucking fair, like and pro Hibs almost. And then I seen that later on. And I went, where'd that come from? Because it wasn't how he was speaking. So anyway,
well, it was on the subject. I thought it was quite funny that he'd put the. I didn't listen to it, but they'd been asked if he managed Hibs or could you manage Hibs? He said, "Oh, I did to take them down." I was like, "Is that not what he did with Hearts?"
that's what the Hearts. He's just trying to do the double.
He's got previous.
He's listening to episode 100 of Shortbangers. I would still pay money to the other 41 than playing goals for Hearts.
Melkerson's second goal again. Sylvester supplying the pass. Melkerson runs through it. Colin, what did you think?
Oh, it was brilliant. Great goal. One of the best goals this season. Up there with Doyle Hayes, his goals, strikes just for the bit of play because he's drifted into space. Jasper's found him, and the finish was lovely. It was a wee, you know what it was like? Archibald's goal in the 88 game.
That's what it reminded me.
I saw that earlier on, and I thought, oh, that's like, it's really really similar. The finish is really similar. I think the bit of play, obviously, he's brought it down his chest and that, but the control and the finish was. I didn't really have it. It's funny, right? I've never seen the boy really play before, other than 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and then a half hour before that or so. But I thought he was going to score when he was running through. He looked like he didn't look like he was thinking about it. You know, he looked like he was. This is a goal. Like, you know, it was one of them. If I wasn't at the game, but if you're at the game, you would almost be celebrating before he scored because you could see the way he purposely sort of was striding through. He's not missing here. Beautiful finish.
I was saying that
in the car earlier, didn't you? Yeah.
But it's brilliant. I think I struggled to remember the last time a Hibs striker had 3 chances and a half, let alone 2 goals and one he really should have scored. Like I was saying, the movement's brilliant. It's a brilliant pass over by Jasper. Great that he's seen it. But like, how often have we had a 1v1 situation for a striker or a goalkeeper this season? It's not very often at all. So to get in that position with that much space, the control is brilliant. And it's like you said, he's approaching and you're thinking every step he takes, goal. And to take it on the left, like he doesn't have to stop and adjust his body to hit on his right, just with almost the outside of his left foot. It's such a classy finish. Only complaint would be he slides away from the set of fans. He just goes towards the steward. I don't know if that steward had been giving him big licks in the warm-up or something, but just needs to improve this directional play for celebrations. But brilliant goal. His movement is brilliant, Melkerson. And that's exciting because it's that kind of stuff you can't really coach. Like that comes naturally after like a good understanding of the game. So for him to have that is brilliant.
Pundits were, I can't remember what it was on, but they were saying similar, that he's went that way to give Jasper the option. But if Jasper had taken another touch, Melkerson would have just made another run. He would have made a different run, and that would have given. I can't remember who it was saying. I don't know if it was the radio or the TV, but that was, you know, they were really talking and giving him credit. I hope it's not too loads of hype, because obviously we held him back a wee bit to get him ready and all that, and there was a lot of hype around him. But he is only. Was he still?
19.
Is he 19 now?
19, yeah, just turned 19 before he signed for us.
He's not that young, but he's a young lad living away from home and all that. So there could be dips with homesickness and all that kind of stuff, I guess. But promising, very promising, and Jasper as well, promising. Still keep the McGivern clause there though, that we spoke about the other week.
We were saying that you were saying it after the St Johnstone game about his movement, where like he didn't get the ball off of Jasper, and then instead of standing about, he just moved and got a chance instead. And I was like, that touched on it there, like that is something that we lack up front, is when the first option is no longer available, just go and make another one. Very often we go, the first option is not available. All right, I'm out the game then.
Yeah, I agree.
But Melkerton there's always provided options, and if you're always an option, eventually you're gonna, the ball's gonna get to you. And
what's your thoughts on? So Andy's interview on the TV, he said, I'm good mates with Jazz, or Sylvester, whatever his first name is. I'm good mates with him, and I just told him to look for me. Great, right? The radio then started turning that into, why does that fucking matter? Willie Miller says you don't need to be mates with somebody to play. Like, look at who was it? Sheringham and Cole. My initial thought was, I think it does help, right? Because when I played rugby, when I played with one of my mates, I always was better. Like I felt better as a partnership. But it worked with fucking York and Cole, who were the actual first team pick at Man United when Sheringham was on the bench.
Yeah.
It's a very weird thing to pick apart a comment from, isn't it? Like,
it's Willie Miller, he's got fuck all else
all
to
these
say.
fucking Hibs boys getting on with each other. Back in my day, I hated my teammates.
Still do.
They did that on Hansen, Him and Hansen fucking hated each other in the World Cup.
It's such a weird thing to pick up. Like, what?
That was what they said. Genuinely, they had a debate on that.
Trying to be Roy
Gordon, obviously, or Willie Miller always said it doesn't matter if you're pals with your teammates. Like, and then somebody else picked up on it. So I thought, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
it would just be matter why talk about it. Like, he's just trying to be Roy Keane, but he's not.
There was again reference in the BBC loads, and you can tell they did the coverage at the weekend, and none of us made it to the game. Just before the game kicked off, they did like a heat map. So the Hibs played, they were talking about Hibs no creating scoring chances and all the rest of it. So they showed the XG table and then this heat map. And the heat map had like that sort of orangey red colour all the way around it, apart from in the opponent's box, which was just green. Like it was like the when it snows in the clearing area of the pitch. So it's like we're never in the opponent's box. You can see right away why we're not scoring goals. And then lo and behold, you get Melkerson in and about the box, buzzing about, making runs, and we get a couple of goals set. So
just changed the whole dynamic of the team, didn't it?
Aye.
And I think we only held it back just so we felt bad that if he'd win the league top scorer and he was only here for 4 months, so we thought, right, hold it back so someone else could win it this season. The next season, when he's hitting 45 goals a season, will be grand.
You'd suggested they might finish the game after he got his 2 goals. He finished the game our top scorer for the season. If he carried on,
what he's, I think, for people still left. People still left at the club. He's like third, fourth top scorer, and he started one game.
Who's actually ahead of him? McGuinness.
Nisbet and McGuinness.
4. How many has Nisbet got?
8, 9 maybe, I think.
So McGuinness had 4. So that's
Lee's will have 2. So he's matched that.
Cadden, he's tied with Cadden, Doyle Hayes. Someone else has got Dimitri Mitchell.
Poor, isn't it? And think last season at this time, they probably had about 35-40 goals between our top 3 strikers, top 3 scorers.
Aye.
Now we've got our second top goal scorer on 4.
And he's been out since September.
Aye, exactly.
He played a month of football and he's still our second top scorer.
Yep.
I miss Kyle McGuinness.
The talk about midfielders then. So Jake Doyle Hayes never made the game through injury on the back of the knock that he took against St Johnstone. Joe Newell then came in unexpectedly, so we were expecting him, or hoping for him to be ready for the Aberdeen game. He's obviously had to come in a bit earlier than intended. Josh, how do you think Joe Newell got on?
he's as handsome as he is talented. I thought that was a brilliant performance from Dale. Just he offers a lot of people talk about him going forward, but I think he's one of the few midfielders we have that can get the ball and drive forward. Like actually use space, use his body very well. He's really tenacious. Like when he wants to be, we've seen him like in the Hearts game, for example, or away at Ibrox quite a bit of times last season. I thought where he's very good at winning the ball back and putting pressure on. I think that's something we've been kind of lacking at times. So it's good to have him back. He's a really good option, and I thought I had a really good game at the weekend. Could not tell that he'd been out for as long as he had been.
Do you think his performance, Colin?
I thought he was really good. I think he's been missing in the midfield over the last few weeks. And I have said before, when he's good, he's really good, but it's not often enough. But I think he's been this season. It feels to me like he's been a bit more consistent than he maybe been last year. But I thought he was really good yesterday. He was just breaking up playing that. Although I suppose second half I would have expected maybe us to dominate a bit more, and I would have expected him to be at the front of that. But then, yeah, we fucked. He's not been late for it. When was the derby? February at some point. So it's about a month he's been out. He played the whole 90 in a physical game. So he'll be knackered today. Like
The other thing to bear in mind with that as well, we had Mueller came on, so Mueller wouldn't have got anywhere close to the amount of time that he played on Sunday, coming back for COVID, had it not been for Doig getting injured. So he's come on after a couple of minutes, really. And I kind of got taken off at the end as we were trying to shore it up. But he's had to come on and play that sort of left wing back role. I think Jasper ended up in a right wing back role. And then Newell trying to kind of get through the 90 minutes or getting through the 90 minutes. It's got a big effort for the players. Even Melkerson's not played 90 minutes. And really, he's had to put a shift in until Deutsch came on. So I think all in it was pretty good. Second half, what do you think went wrong, or did it go wrong in the second half, or do you think we settled for the 2-1? Colin?
I think we settled to an extent. I think we didn't dominate the ball as much as what I would expect. We've got more, like we did in the first half, we've got more players on the pitch. We've got better footballers on the pitch. And I mean, even the TV, when Scott Allen came on, we're going, oh, this will suit him, like, because they've got a man less. And you never saw him. No. And I just expect us to dominate a bit more, but I think you're right, we were kind of plugging holes, weren't we? Muller's knackered, Newell's knackered because I've hardly played. You know, it's like I think I might be a bit of tiredness there, but also a bit of settle for it. But we'll not let a goal in. And actually, Mason have had the save to make. Came and took a cross at the end. The boy had the shot, I think Josh mentioned earlier, that was off target. A decent effort, but off target. But other than that, I mean, for all the plaudits Motherwell are getting, they were creating it.
We did concede. Did Motherwell have a shot on target second half? Like, I mean, we can't talk about chances created. Sean Maloney's Hibs team gets slated for not having shots on target no matter how many chances we create. So I thought we were quite comfortable, and I think we have got and settled for it. We know we're good defensively under Maloney. We know we can go and grind it. I know it's not a clean sheet because we've already conceded, but for a second half clean sheet is such that we'll just not concede this half. And I think we just set up to do that, and we did. So,
yeah,
brilliant.
Even their goal was like a shot that was going way off target. It was the boys that Melton chest it in.
Yeah, it's a really smart finish for the boy.
Aye,
if that's what he was intending to do. Aye. If he was sort of bring it down and fucked it up.
No, I think he does try and guide it towards the corner. Like, to be fair to the boy effort, it's really quick thinking. He does well with it. Like, I think just kind of wrong foot's Macy a wee bit.
Yeah, and off the inside of the post as well, wasn't it?
What I would like to say is about Macy made a cracking save at 0-0 for the corner. So, you know, I think he gets a bit of unwarranted stick at times. I quite like that Macy as a goalkeeper. I realise that's a bit of a controversial Hibs opinion, but I think he makes stuff quite safe a lot of the time.
And I don't think he kicked the ball at the park once yesterday versus 3 Motherwell. But people will rate that Motherwell keeper as better than Macy for his distribution.
The draw's just been made, by the way.
Has it? Who we got?
Who do you think we got?
Hearts.
Yep.
Did we?
Aye.
Oh well, got to beat them sometime, eh?
Aye, that's it. I think Hearts, going by the graphic, the Hibs have put, I think Hearts have been drawn as a home team
Oh, here we go.
Doesn't matter. They'll just get their usual end anyway. Doesn't matter who's at home, does it?
Here we fucking go.
Matters
Do you
because
know, you've got to beat them at some point, eh?
I wonder if we'll get that end. I know that brother-in-law had pre-booked the Queen's Park Social Club for the game already, so but that'll be at the Hearts End, if assuming we get our normal ends. I don't know, fuck everything up.
Well, need to get our own back at some point. So I imagine that'll be the don't think I'll have any nails left by the end of that.
Well,
Does
they'll
that
go in. You know, they're going to go in over. They'll go in overconfident, right? Because they beat us at Hampden the last couple of times,
Aye.
or the only times, and they're flying in the league. So
Derby's have been really tight this season. So I mean, it's one of those can.
it was 2-0 nils.
2-0 nils. Keepers. I think first match Gordon and Macy got the respective teams man of the match, and then you'd probably say Dubrovsky got our man of the match in the
He did,
derby. Probably should have scored a couple into Gordon. So I mean, it'll be a tight game. Like I said, I think if you're a neutral trying to call it, you're having a bit of a hard time. But just
I'll get more tickets than us.
I shouldn't do. Just don't
Nah.
just don't shit ourselves. If we could just don't start Brian up top. Just don't brick it. If you lose because you've been like outplayed or something, fair enough. But don't lose because you've not lived up to the occasion.
They say it's the first time ever, apparently, that Rangers, Celtic, Hibs and Hearts have been the last four in the Scottish. So I find that remarkable.
It is mental. Ah, God, man. Right, here we go.
Hibs Celtic final. Hibs to win it.
It's going
That's my
to be a hard.
prediction.
It's going to be a hard draw either way. Like,
Yeah, there's no.
it's top 3 in the league. It's top 4 in the league in the semi-final. It's not going to be no easy draw there. Like for once.
Well, you look at what we played Celtic at Hampden already, lost, but I think we're fairly unlucky to beat Rangers at Hampden, and you've got Hearts who you haven't beaten you this season. So
we put pressure on ourselves in derbies because we're worried because the 1980s were so shit.
Yeah. So
let's bring back the spirit of the 70s.
It's a different squad. Elias Melkerson was not around in the 80s. He is around now, so we're fine.
I think, like, but all joking aside, I think really that will be the biggest factor is what players we have available for that game. Do you know, like who's fit for it? And if I think Hearts, obviously they've been better than us this season. I'm loath to give them credit. I think the difference between Hearts this season and Hearts what we've seen previously is they've got a threat up front. They're always quite solid defensively, but they've got a threat up front now, and they've got a way of playing that works for them.
Yeah,
it's not really worked against us the last two derbies because we've nullified them and actually, I think, almost imposed our game. It's been a bit less a kind of war of attrition. The last two derbies, we made a game of football because for 0-0 games, they've been decent. It's not been like kind of the turgid 0-0s that we used to watch. But I think Hearts are in Maloney said it as well, Hearts are in a better place than us at the moment. It's probably the first time in recent years that we've gone into the semi-final as the worst team that's still in the cup. So maybe that might take a wee bit of pressure off us as well. The expectations aren't as high as last time we played them at Hampden.
No, we can't control it, so just see how it goes, get along to the game and hopefully have a class time celebrating afterwards. But
bring them on. Go beat them at some point, like you say, Colin. We're due one, definitely.
Confident about it, be positive.
Aye.
Too much negativity in our support sometimes.
Right, well, we'll get some points for the listeners. We've got, what is it, Wanger for the Bangers?
Yeah.
What are the topics this week, Colin?
Right, so I have the returnees and the injuries, the forwards, the pundits, Graham Alexander and Motherwell, the second half, and then the fans, the boo boys, and any other old shite. That's your 6 topics. Josh, what do you want?
Just go with the fans and boo boys. We'll
the
go
fans.
with
right.
Okay. Get the stuff out the way first.
And the other stuff first, right, so stuff in here from, I'll just rattle off some names. Raymond, Paul Mackay, Roddy Scott, Paul Mackay, Noah Skinner, Neil Renton, Joseph McClellan, Mel Clements. So there was a few folk in here said about Dre Wright. So I thought Dre Wright had a good game. We've not mentioned him. Seems to be better in a wing-back role. Is he worth a new deal? How good was Dre Wright? Is he being lined up for the second part of the Netflix documentary, The Defiant Ones? There are mentions in here for how do we deal with the boo boys, despair at some folk. There's like a built-up aggression or hate. And I think a follow-up to that was I think we could have Pep in charge and folk would still find fault a minority. We've got a minority who seem to get a kick out abusing our footballers more than the opposition. Mentioning the ripping up seats, we never mentioned the actual big crowd that was there either. What was it? 3.5, just under 3,500.
Crowd was fantastic, and I know there was
unfortunately, there was a few ripped their seat up.
Just leave the seats.
There is. Right, so it's one of these ones, and with Slate Rangers and Celtic, for when they say it's a minority that sing the songs and all the rest of it, because it's fucking blatantly no minority. In this case, I think you could say it's a minority, and it is a minority. A handful of seats get ripped up or broken. Somebody's chucked a seat at the steward, which is obviously fucking stupid. But you've the huge majority, the vast majority of that 3,000 plus crowd were fucking terrific on Sunday. Backed the players, go right behind the team, made a lot of noise. It's that kind of colourful spectacle. Yeah. I think from what I've read about it and from what I've observed at away games kind of recently, is there's a problem with coke. I'm talking about the drink, but you get wee fannies on cocaine, and I would never. Anybody's listening to the podcast and short bangers and everything would history. I'd be a big hypocrite if I say that folk didn't go taking drugs and young laddies shouldn't take drugs. So what I would also say is I've never met anybody who's taking cocaine and nobody a complete fucking arsehole on it. It's just it's a drug that does that to folk, and if folk can't handle it, and then end up, that's what happens. You end up fucking chucking seats and fireworks and all that kind of stuff. It's like, if you can't fucking behave on it, then take it. Take something else. Just get bevied or whatever, assuming you can handle that. But I think it's very easy to make a big deal out of it. But I think by and large the crowd were fantastic, and the Hibs fans generally were a credit to the club.
Yeah, maybe just ban under 21s going to the football or something. Is that what you're saying?
Aye, that's what I would do. Ban under 21s, Josh.
Cheers, lads.
And what about Dre Wright? What do you think?
Good. Be good recent weeks. I think probably has been a confidence. Well, when does this new is it up at the end of the season?
I think so.
I wouldn't give him a new deal. As harsh as that is, because he has improved. Has he improved enough to be a player that you would go, I want him in my starting 11? When everybody's fit and available,
no.
I want him in my starting 11. No.
Yeah. But do you keep him around as a rotation option?
No, you bring better in. He's only on I think there's that bit about, for Dre Wright's own good, and you isn't that connection with the support. Get somebody else in who the fans will get behind, and you just take that issue away. It's better for everybody.
That's only something else. Go back to Paul Hanlon or something.
10-year deal.
Hey, wee Sean says, "Get to me. I'll take my shoulders." So that's what he says. So that's fucking. So, anyway, Raymond asked this question. So, Dr. Dre, the Hoff, Sylvester the Cat. The better the players' names, the better our team becomes. Who else could we sign? He's thinking the Hulk or an Elvis would be cool, but his favourite player's name is Kevin Lasagna. Any suggestions on any of
that? If we sign an Elvis, don't bring Anthony Stokes back.
Or Gary O'Connor.
There's a player in the English league called Max Power, isn't there?
Yeah.
Who he plays for? Right.
Oh, the boy at Queen of the South. I think it is Norty. He's got.
Is the boy Invincible still playing? He would fit in with the city.
Aye, Danny Invincible. Danny Invincible.
Aye.
There must be somewhere, right, in European football or world football, a player with a surname Shagger now. There must be a Shagger playing his trade. No.
Last thing on this section, Peds Keenan's just wondering if we can let Leon back on so he can plug his business. I'm saying no, just for that reason.
Leon, what to plug is Leon.
Peds
plug his
wants Leon back on. I don't know what it is Peds sells.
Speaking of shouting out businesses, how good was the pizza yesterday? That.
Oh, by the way, so yesterday, because Josh was coaching in the morning, right? Josh was coaching at Loch End first thing Sunday morning, so we didn't have time to get through to Motherwell. So we said, well, we'll meet you down in Robbie's and we'll go to Leith and watch the game in the pub. And after we'd been down, had the pints, watched the game, we jumped in an Uber and went up to Cherevino's, that was called.
Yep.
Which is up opposite, opposite Doctors. I went for pizza there, and these donut things that had cinnamon sugar and Nutella. Oh, fucking incredible! So I would heartily recommend going there.
Sensational.
Aye, quality pizza, quality service, quality scram. Yes,
Just shite company.
just well, if you're with me, aye.
Right. Right, we've got next topic. So we've got the second half. We've got Graham Alexander or Motherwell, pundits, forwards, and the returnees and injuries.
I'll pick Graham Alexander then. The pound
Graham
shop, Gary
Alexander.
Barlow. Yep.
Yeah, so James Forsyth, Paul Mackay, Raymond, Mike, Scott S, and Stuart Gordon reckon that they're called steelmen because they play like hammer throwers. Alexander is a knob. Understands
Good
why
point.
he protects his player. Yes, as for talking points, that's it. Alexander's a knob. Full stop. Understand why he protects his players, but post-match interview was cringeworthy. If it was Ryan Porteous, etc., etc. Graham Alexander's a better man. Which parent didn't show him enough love as a child? Did he not see them surround the ref demanding a second yellow for Jasper? Industrial football. And on a scale of 1 to 15, how likely was it that Graham Alexander was going to blame everything except his players and their style of playing setup for the defeat? Competitive agricultural is how it's been classed.
Well, it's got to be a 15 out of 15 because that happened.
And yeah, I absolutely agree. I was driving through and I went, "Oh, let's listen to this. See what it'll not be his fault."
Aye. Well, it's one of the first times in ages that I've listened to an interview, and Kim, what's like, as football fans, you get kind of like, if you win a game or you lose a game, you'll have a go at the opponents, and it just wasn't objective at all. And you can he's going to be a bit partisan because it's his team, and he's probably like there's positives that he could have taken for that game, and made that interview all about his team. Like that's probably what I would have been expecting him to do. Say, we're really good second half. We put Hibs under loads of pressure. We didn't test our goalkeeper apart from when we gave him a couple of shoves, but we weren't really that threatened ourselves. And if we take that form into the league, we'll probably be all right, given that they're struggling now. Instead, he made it about Hibs and this kind of made out like they were victims of some massive fucking injustice.
It's the type of interview I'd give. The type of interview I'd give on Football Manager after I'd been knocked out by a team that was below me in the league, where you just start typing your own answers and start going rad at everyone. I think Graham Alexander forgot he's not a simulation, or is he? Who knows? That's a deeper topic.
It is weird. Like it is. I thought it was a weird reaction. As you say, he could have been saying positive to the 10 guys. Like I've not seen the tackle, but it didn't look great. But I need to see it back. All that stuff. We spoke to Sean Maloney the other day before the interview, and he was defending the referees as much as we got decisions against us, but he was giving them the excuse that they're only part-time and all that. Obviously, he never said it was off the record, so I don't know if I'm breaking our confidence here, but that's what he was saying to us. So why you would take that approach is fucking incredible. But anyway, next topic.
For Josh to pick. A wanger for the banger.
Let's hear the available options. I need
you want to hear again? The returnees and injuries, the forwards, pundits, the second half.
The returnees and injuries, please.
Right, so there's only a few here. William Todd, Sean, Lee Martin, Norman Black, Paul Lawson, Joe Newell, huge bonus having him back. He's a leader as well as a great player. When Maloney speaks to senior players, he's one of them. Is it fair that Joe Newell's that good and that pretty? How much will the team change when our injured players are back? And interesting stat here, which I'm dubious of. The average age of the team is just over 21, even with Lewis Stevenson in it. I'm demanding a recount on that. I don't think that can be correct.
I think it was
that's got to be included. Got to be included the bench, surely.
I remember the squad.
Oh, is it the squad? Right.
Because we had a couple of young players, but I think the players was closer to 23.
Yeah. Because the team, if you look at it, Macy's over 21, Porteous is nearly 23. He's one of the count as one of your youngest. So I can't see. I don't know what age Sylvester and that are.
Who's under 20? So you've got how old?
Doig's about 20, isn't he? George Campbell's 22. Called into the 21s this week, but he's 22. Fucking mental. Yeah. But so there's like, how can you be average age is 21 when you've got only one person that's like under 21 in your team? But anyway, maybe when you class Henderson about 20 as well. 21. But you count the bench, bench had a lot of young laddies on it, because there was like 10 players on the bench, so it must be that then.
It was the
But
Hibs
it doesn't-
squad, I think, was the start. It was the Hibs squad, not
Right.
the Hibs first team. So
I
very
think
carefully worded.
I'm still dubious of it. Joe Newell, we've covered Joe Newell before, haven't we? But what about the team? How will the team change when our injured players are back?
I wish I could cover Joe Newell.
Jesus Christ.
Dad's on the line.
When the players come back, it just gives us more options, eh? Like that's the big thing. So you'd expect to see Mueller. So as things stand, I couldn't see Mueller, Jasper, and Melkerson as our front three. I think that would be good. Henderson, we played Newell, Jake Doyle Hayes. So you maybe see Stevenson dropping out and Campbell dropping out the team.
Yeah.
Then you've got like McGuinness.
We just disregarded McGuinness, I think, Josh. We're looking sort of I think Clark's probably one that might come in the side based on the hype around him anyway. I can't remember much of it. Ross County and the defence is going to get defenders in it. We're playing with one centre half at the moment.
Yeah. But it's interesting because you wouldn't take Cadden or Doig out the team. You wouldn't take Porteous out the team. So you're having to kind of shuffle the pack a wee bit. But who plays alongside Porteous is centre half because you've got Hanlon
Hanlon Clark.
Come back.
Hanlon Clark, Porteous in the middle, Cadden and Doig out wide.
And Rocky not getting a look in then see.
Yeah. Bench. There it is. I would expect that because you need the left footer in there, don't we? We've discussed that before. Right, so next topic then, we've got the forwards, we've got the pundits, and we have the second half.
Second half, please, Bob.
Second half. So a few things in here. Beastie to Beastie, the book guy. I've got the book here.
Good book.
Dave Armstrong for the telly. Craig Rowan, Jeff Ashton, Jim G, Tony Swanson, Paul Mackay, Alicia Suter. Gollum became too forgiving after the early red. Deserved and should have been another, which I know it wasn't just technically second half, but am I the only one who thought we were pish second half? Lots of energy first half, second versus 10 men. Let them take the game to us. Win is the main thing, but not yet a newly converted disciple of Sean Maloney. Did we ease off the throttle too soon instead of going for the kill? Considering the players missing and who started the game, and we started the game with one centre half, lost Henderson and Doig. I didn't know Henderson was injured through injury.
Henderson went off injured.
The fact that we won is amazing. Has anyone done an average height analysis? Team of vertically challenged individuals, excluding Matt Macy, obviously. The guy closed his eyes at every cross, but Daz helped. Scott Allen in the second half wasn't a great sub. Midfield was overrun. Joe Newell was brilliant though. And last one, noticeable decline after Henderson went off. Thought Campbell improved and Newell was fantastic, but Scott Allen hasn't been able to make an impact the last few times he's played.
I think
there.
The Scott Allen thing is he's no an ideal sub, but I mean only midfielder on the bench at that point where Henderson coming off. So if you look at the retain your shape and not force someone else out of position, he's the sub you go to. Like it's a shame with Allen because he's not at the same level he was for reasons that are out of his control. But I mean, I think he's kind of had to be brought on because you haven't got another midfielder sitting there. So he's who you go for. So
I think as I said, the TV were like saying, "Oh, this will be a good sub." Kenny Miller and that. This will be a good sub. The space and the time, and just never showed it. Unfortunately, I guess though, challenge back there. He's not been able to make the impact the last few times, but he's not going to be able to because he's not getting a run. He's not getting the time to get his match fitness up because he's not playing.
Yeah.
He'd be lucky if he's played 90 minutes this season. Well, that's not true because he played that 3 or 4 games, didn't he? But exclude that 3 or 4 game run that he got when he actually scored goals, created goals. He's probably not played a full game in total the rest of the time.
I feel like this time of season though, you don't sacrifice games to get someone's match fitness up for them to be fit, like maybe fit and maybe good for the last 2-3 games of the season. You play who's fit and you play who's ready.
Yeah, I'd love him to score the winner in the cup final and then just that'll be the end of him. That would be a dream. But
you know anyway. What? Cup final, Dre Wright, last minute winner. That's his swan song.
Do it in the semi first.
On the point of the second half in general, right? And it's easy to get lost, but it's a cup game, right? So Motherwell have got nothing to lose. They are like a physical team, and there was the point there about height, and actually you can see it. Motherwell were a bigger team. I think their average height is almost certainly bigger than ours, and they were the one to go out the cup. It's like there's not a lot between us and Motherwell. Anyway, you look at the league positions, there's no huge amount between us. The games between us this season have been pretty close. And they made it difficult for us. They were chucking everything that they could at us. But go back to what Josh said earlier on about the Hibs are quite good at defending now and being able to kind of control games in that regard. I think our performance wasn't great, and I would have liked to have seen us being on the front foot more. But I'd much rather be in the position where the night talking about us being in the next round than having maybe been caught out with a sucker punch because we were chasing our third goal that we didn't need.
No, for a fact. Sorry, Colin, on you go.
No, I was just going to ask another question on the back of that. But would you be as strong as Bestie to Beastie to Belgium, who said we were pish in the second half?
No.
I think there was probably periods in the second half where we were pish. On the Twitter, kind of something you got like a wee theme, right? So on Saturday night when Hearts were playing St Mirren, and Hearts had gone 2-0 up, I think, and I'd just tweet out, "Dear St Mirren, please stop being shite. Sign us." Like a wee letter to them.
Yeah.
And I did the same second half. I was like, "Dear Hibs, please stop being shite," because we just want to doing the things that you would want us to, getting your foot on the ball and passing it, making Motherwell run about. And Josh, you slagged me for using cliches because I was like, we just need to get the fucking ball doing and make that do the work and get Motherwell chasing us. They're a man doing. You tire them out, you move the ball back side to side, you get them pull the pitch, and you just keep ahead of the ball, which we've been really good at times this season. And we just stopped doing that.
It's strange, I thought. I agree.
I went full-time coach for the cliches.
I did. I put full-time coach. But we did enough to see out the game. Like, and we said Mason never had a save to make in that second half. He's taken a cross and got shoved a couple of times, and
that's it.
And that's it.
I mean, my point to that would be if he's acknowledging we're trying to sit back and defend the lead, and you sit back and defend the lead, is that being pish or is that being good at what you're trying to do? Like if we were pish in terms of we didn't take the game to them, but we weren't trying to take the game to them. So what we wanted to do, we did well.
And we weren't riding our luck either. It wasn't like we were having stuff coming off the crossbar or off the line or focus and fucking sitters or anything like that.
It wasn't even like last ditch defending or anything. Like it didn't seem we had that one moment at panic stations where they got in, and we just did not seem to know where we were meant to be going. But
I think the goal at the end of the first half, I think that changed the way. I think if we'd went in 2-0 at half time, so we would have come out and said, knock the ball about, run the legs off them, and we'll get another goal or two late on. They got that goal, they've went in, they're all pumped up. The manager's in there giving them the fucking beating chest and banging the heads off the wall. They'll fucking panic, they'll flap, their boy band, all that shit. You'll get a late goal, keep at them. And that's what changed at half time. The different team talks. I think Maloney probably just thought we'll just win this rather than get into a battle and more injuries, more, we'll just let them try, but they'll not break us down, because as we've seen the last 4 games, well, the only way the team has scored is by what I would call a fluke. How did you score a goal with your chest?
What I'd like to bring up right at the end, I've got this happen. Why did Darren McGregor go up for the corner? Like it seemed more like he was being, like they said, like he's been instructed not to. He went up. But if you're a centre half of that stage of the game, why are you going up for the corner? There's no chance the ball's been put in the box. I couldn't quite work out why that happened.
Just run the stiffness of his legs.
Just like you said recently with Kelly or something.
Kills a wee bit of time as well, because the referee waits for everybody to get in a position. So get the centre halves up and all the rest. I think we're just running down the clock a wee bit there.
Yeah.
We've got 2 left: the forwards, and pundits.
Pundits, so we can end on a good note.
Right, so Mike, Stephen Scott, Dave Thompson, George Fitzgerald, and our friend 150k on Hanlon Hill. The BBC commentator was nearly orgasming through. How do you say that word? Orgasming through when thought Porteous had given a penalty away. I don't know if you remember that. He went from a horny boner to a non-horny boner really quickly. BBC Sport have been asking if a penalty, like we mentioned, not a penalty, sorry, a red card, like we were saying earlier, and they're pointing out maybe that's backing up Sean Maloney's comments on the media by them doing that. Why are we so unpopular now? Pundits seem to hate us. So-called experts had to eat humble pie, really sending off. That's Scottish football, making the most out of any small incident. And I think this was 150k's point, was time to decommission any pundits who start to invent punishments instead of applying the rules of the game, i.e. the orange card. So we've kind of touched on that during the programme as well. But I think, what do you think about the pundits then?
Well, interesting, like there was a kind of, so at the risk of being that guy that fucking just keeps going on about it, the Maloney interview last week, like, so obviously Sean Maloney had said about certain people outside of the club wanting us to fail, and it got picked up with the newspapers, which was fine. And then you had PLZ Soccer, right, who for some reason have blocked us on Twitter anyway, right? Not that I'm bothered
It's
about
because
that,
Tom McManus is a shite pundit. Is that why?
There's nothing, David, I've never said a bad word about Tom
Well,
McManus.
I'm hanging you shite.
PLZ Soccer is somehow a shite version of TalkSport. Now, I don't even know how you be a shite version of TalkSport, but PLZ Soccer have managed it. I blocked them a long time ago.
Anyway, I wasn't going to slate them. Right,
fuck you, PLZ Soccer.
Well, it's not really what we're about. Right? We're not here to slate other folk and the stuff that they create. However, they positioned it as a shock rant that Maloney had. A fucking shock rant. And it's like almost in that wee one moment they've encapsulated exactly what he fucking means.
Yeah.
Saying, you've twisted it to sensationalise something that he's no fucking, or he has said, but no the way that they've implied that he's said it. The BBC stuff, so the penalty, because the boy, I think if that's an anti-Hibs thing or just we're in the last, it was injury time, wasn't it? You're in the last seconds of the game, and it looked like the referee had given a penalty, because I was like, oh, fuck off. I think I actually said, oh, fuck off at the time. And then, sorry, it's for us. Similar to the 2016 Cup final where the referee blows for the free kick and we're all expecting Rangers to get to launch it in, and he's going, no, free kick to Hibs.
It was so weird because
happy days.
He blows the whistle, he does the wee point to the penalty spot and then points that way for the Hibs. Can I read out the comment on the PLZ Soccer thing that made me laugh?
Yeah.
The one you sent me, it was about the shock rant, and the boy says, really, really shock rant. Read the full statement. He was just speaking on a Hibs podcast. No shock rant, no statement. He was also asked what kind of biscuit he would use if attempting a world record for biscuit throwing. He opted for a digestive without the chocolate. Absolute gutter press. I completely loved the fact he specified what biscuit it was.
That bit, it was just because of how absurd their fucking interviews are in that as well, Colin.
It doesn't just say like a digestive without the chocolate.
Well, he was quite impressed with the Viscount when we suggested that. But the pundits thing, I'm always been one, like, as you know, like I'm kind of like a wee bit like, oh, they're not that bad. That's not what they say. You've taken it out of context. But I'm starting to come round to the fact, like, well, what by even posting that, is that a red card question today? I'm going, fucking aye. Well, no, because I never saw anybody saying, is that a penalty to Rangers, when it's fucking dubious.
Because it always is, isn't it?
So, but it is strange, although I did think Levine and that were quite positive after the game, but he seemed to have been, obviously he's getting panned for that one line that he's come out with as well. Last thing we've got is the forwards. So quite a few here. Jamie Robertson, Steve McDonough, Gary Duffy, Whiskey Craig, Disco Stew, Sir Words a Lot, Jason Nathan, that's two different people, Kaiser Soze, Craig Thompson and Jason. Milkerson, showed we can score with one up front. His movement in and around the box is something we've been lacking. How good is the Norwegian lad? Cadden will love playing with him. Jasper to Milkerson, that's the tweet. They clearly got on, somebody else's point. Get Jasper signed. Fully expect a 15-minute segment on how good Jasper was. Would like to see Muller play in Henderson's position. Doesn't think Henderson is there yet. Flits in and out. Was subbing Muller on and off justified, even just to reformat the team? Is Muller more suited to bird watching? Seemed pissed off after subbing the sub. Is he maybe recovering from COVID? I think he probably is. And why are 80% of our crosses blocked? So a few things in there, but there's a thing about Muller and Milkerson.
Mueller, I think we kind of touched on it earlier on. He did look a bit unhappy to be coming off. Maybe he was feeling okay, but I don't think the intention was ever to give Mueller as long as he got in the game. And I think we needed to shore up at the points. The sub, I think, was Doige came on and McGregor came on at that point, if I remember.
Mueller and Memphis came off.
And it seemed like a fair substitution to make. There's always that thing if you substitute a sub, they get a bit annoyed about it because it's not really the done thing. But I think in the circumstances where you've got somebody who's come in, it's almost like he's no sub. When you come on that early, you've virtually started, haven't you? So I think it's slightly different circumstances. Mueller, I think, just looked a wee bit off the pace. He still had a couple of good moments in the game. Like I really like Mueller. I think said it for a while. I think he's going to be a huge player for us when he gets a run in the team, and is a bit luckier with injuries and illness and that kind of thing because he's been a wee bit unlucky since he's been at Hibs with that sort of stuff. I think he will do very, very well for us. I really like him. I like his attitude. I like what he brings to the team. He's quite direct. He had a wee chance to score as well. He kind of slapped the shot right at the keeper, if I remember right. He was kind of going through a ruck of bodies.
And do you think his best position is the sort of position Henderson's playing? Or what do you think his best position is?
I think the same.
There or on the left. I think if you're playing Jasper on the right, then put Mueller out on the left or dropping in. Like he plays. When I watched him when he was playing for in America, the few games that I saw him, we started taking interest when I knew that he was signing for us. He got across all the front three positions. It kind of was even within the same game, you would play across the three positions. So we might use him like that. He seemed kind of more than capable of it. Melkerson, the only thing that I can find with Melkerson that I'm not entirely happy with is his eyebrows weird me out a wee bit.
I'm not convinced on the hairband.
The hairband I can cope with. The eyebrows look very deliberate. You know, obviously we all have deliberate eyebrows because we keep them
shaped in that. Must get them shaped.
Aye, which is fair enough. That's what the young team doing that these days, I'm sure. But
would you like the world? Yeah.
Aye.
Would you like to see him get them plucked, or like, are you gonna?
Maybe that's just how.
Take it to Turkish barbers, and he'll be.
They'll do it. They'll do it with the clippers.
Maybe that's how they might grow naturally that way. They're maybe doing them a disservice. But anyway, obviously that's fucking neither here nor there.
I think the point is Cadden will love playing with him is a good point. Because we've said, like a lot of people say, he doesn't look up enough, which probably agree to. And I started coming around to, but some of the balls that Cadden puts in the box, Melkerson will move for.
Yeah.
And yes, he can maybe look up more often as well. But if he continues being able to just put fireballs into dangerous areas, like Melkerson looks like the type to get on it. What do you think about the one there about why are 80% of our crosses blocked? I'm assuming they've just picked that number, but obviously they think there's a lot of our crosses blocked. Do you think they are?
I thought it was the start of a really weird joke. I'm still waiting for the punchline.
I'd be interested because we seem to have a lot of crosses that go in to nobody rather than getting blocked. Right, so when you're talking about a cross that's blocked, and presumably it's hitting the first man.
Must be.
Right. There was a couple of times I didn't notice it that much. I think we're bad for not crossing when we're in a good crossing position a lot of the time. So you look at the goal that we scored on Saturday, Jasper works himself in a brilliant position, nutmegs the boy, runs is almost at the byline and he whips it across. Brilliant. But there have been loads of times this season where we've been in positions where we could cross and they either are too slow and too deliberate to make the cross, or they put the foot in the ball and go back the way again. It's like almost like it's not quite perfect enough, so we'll try and work another angle. Yeah. Whereas they could just whip it in. But I think when you give defenders time to close you down, that's going to result in your crosses getting blocked. Josh, you're a coach. What would you be telling your defence to block on how to block a Hibs cross?
Just get in the way of it.
That's a good shout.
Just what to do is just don't let them cross, lads.
Yeah. So he's on for his coaching and analysis now.
Aye.
No, I mean.
I know early days in your course, Josh, isn't it? It's still early days. You've still got a lot of learning to do, just to be fair to you.
I agree with you in the terms of the lots of times we seem to cut back. If we get to a byline, we'll cut back, and I feel like we're quite bad for that. I think Jasper and Cadden and Doig to an extent, although to that, will actively put crosses in, but I think it's a bit of a confidence thing at times, like with players. Like I see even with like Doyle Hayes or Newell will pick the ball up in quite promising possession times, so no quite out wide, but no like in that kind of middle area between
Yep.
there, and they could whip a ball in. But I think we also need to get more bodies in the box. I think that's what I noticed about us at the weekend is you're looking at the cross for Melkerson. Anyway, and so they had the one he scores or Dre Wright. I know Dre Wright's shot comes for a corner, but he was like the one Melkerson misses. Ewan Henderson was coming in right on top of it. You had someone at the back post, somebody that has gone over. You've got 4 or 5 bodies in the box here. How often this season have we seen somebody look up to cross and it's been Kevin Nisbet between 3 defenders?
Yeah.
Like that's probably why crosses have been blocked, because we haven't had enough people getting in the box. So if you've had Newell, Doyle Hayes and Campbell all back here, a full back still out that side, and you've just got one striker, then it'll be easy because you can afford to like double up on the cross, or you can afford to be a bit lenient because you've not got that much movement to deal with. When you get people like Henderson, Melkerson, Jasper on the other wing, or people Muller, for example, getting in the box, and all of a sudden it'll become more difficult because there's more places for the ball to go, and there's more for the defenders to think about. And I think that's probably why you get a bit more joy from it, is getting the additional bodies in the box. I think we were talking about Henderson. I don't think Henderson's fully there yet with his on the ball stuff, but I like how often he gets forward and gets into the box. That I think he reminds you a bit like what we were seeing McGuinness earlier on in the season, and just that midfielder getting in the box, and all of a sudden it gives you much more options, even if it's just 1 or 2 extra players.
Nice one. Right, that's all our wangers, wasn't it, Colin?
That's that done, aye.
So just before we finish up, then we've got Aberdeen next weekend. That's our next game, isn't it? Nothing in between.
Yeah, Saturday.
Aberdeen next on Saturday.
Aberdeen away. So very quick score predictions from you, Josh. How's it going to go?
1-0 Hibs. Melkerson again. Melkerson. That's a reasonable drop. There'll probably be noise up top.
A funny tweet. I can't remember who it was that tweeted it, but I saw it made me laugh to see they're looking forward to see them drop for next week.
Yeah. 1-0.
Colin.
2-0. We've got to start scoring goals now, I think so. 2-0.
I'll go with 2-0 as well. I think that's going to go on a wee run. The cup's been kind to us, eh? Like we had a good performance against Arbroath, good performance, I think, overall against Motherwell. We're on a bad run. It's like something like 6 unbeaten or 1 defeat in 6 or something like that we're on for now. So hopefully,
what was the last game we lost?
St Mirren, was it? St Mirren. We lost home at St Mirren. Was that after 11?
Don't know. One of them. But it's a
anyway,
it's a lot of draws in there, obviously. But
a lot of draws. But I think if we've got our goal scoring touch back, which it looks like we might have, then.
Just thinking that we're going to be playing Hearts 2 weeks in a row, aren't we? We're going to have Hearts the week before the split, and then the derby will be the week after as well. So,
fucking hell! By the way, I would. Nah, doesn't matter. Play your strongest team both times, because you came up with like they'll just go.
Might be going
kick him.
Well, but they're claiming they're unprecedented injury run, aren't they? That was what was said in BBC, because they've got like, the same amount of injuries, but it's unprecedented. But we'll be going to Tiny, probably needing a result to get top 6. Unless we win our next 2 games, and that might give us just enough, but we'll probably still go there needing a draw. If even we win our next 2, and then we've got the cup the week after, whereas they're fine in 3rd, they're no challenge. So
I reckon wouldn't be surprised.
Rest everybody. Might be good. They might rest everybody for the cup match.
See what happens. Something to look forward to anyway. Yeah. Start getting the hype build up for it now. Well done, by the way. We should also, just before we wrap up, say well done to William, who won the Short Bangers prize. It wasn't Raymond. We called it at the time. I couldn't remember who'd sent it the tweet. I checked afterwards, and it wasn't Raymond. I've already been threatened by lawyers' letters and stuff for him. So see you in court, Raymond. But William
never said the question. So that's the facts.
That's it. Well, William was the actual winner. So well done, William. I think he's already been sorted out with the tickets for it. So that's on the 18th, isn't it? Colin will be there.
It's Friday night.
Friday night. Happy days. Looking forward to it. Right. Thanks very much for coming on, Josh. Thanks for coming on, Colin. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back with Short Bangers on Thursday. So get your questions in. Until then, we'll see you next time.
County line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no,